he lives across the street from you, just because he don't hang with you, you should still show him the same amount of love. Because you don't take time out to stay still long enough to listen. See? We don't listen. That's all it is. And listening is not a form of hearing somebody. It's a form of doing.
All right, D.R.A.M.A TV 27 live here. Cam Allen. We have Officer Winder. Corporal Winder. Okay, sorry about that. We have young brother Trayshawn up here. We just want to, first I'm going to start with you, Trayshawn. Just give the viewers some information, man. You know, there's a lot of tension in the air of the recent events that took place in Louisiana and Minnesota. Just let the people know, you know, your take, man. How do you feel about that? Do you feel threatened? Do you feel like that, you know, you have something to fear in your own community now that you see something like this taking place?
I don't have nothing to fear. It's like people put stereotypes on everything. Like, not all cops are bad, and not all African Americans are, what people say, ignorant. It's stereotypes that everybody putting on it.
Okay, so now, how did these events, how do they affect you? How do you feel about it when you see actions like this?
Most people, like, I'm not fully enraged, but I'm enraged that it's happening to the black community.
Right.
And most people think that starting a, quote, civil war against us and the cops are going to change stuff, but it's really not.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Now, what role do we play as young African Americans ourselves with the action, some of the action that you see going on in our community? We have to take some responsibility ourselves. So, what do you think about that? Some of the things that go on in the community. I'm sure you see some things that don't sit well with you. Not that you're directly involved, but I know it has to affect you because it affects me. And I'm not in the streets. At one time I was, but I'm not no more. You understand what I'm saying? So it affects me, and that's why, you know, Luke B&G and Breaking the Chains, this is why we do what we do. So, you know, tell me, what responsibility do we have as young African American men to make sure that these type of things don't happen in our community?
Just like be a good citizen. Be like kind to your others. Don't, quote, do bad things that you know are bad and that can get you in trouble. And you'll pretty much stay out of trouble.
All right, that's fair. All right, Corporal. So, how you doing this afternoon?
Well, you know, I'm blessed.
All right, all right.
Okay.
All right, so, you know, I'm going to ask you, you know, some of the same questions. How do you think the temperature is in the community? I mean, you can see what's going on out here today, right now. They're constantly showing this on the news. It's just over and over and over and over, you know. So what do you think that we can do more of as leaders in our community, as activists in our community, to help deter some of this violence that we see going on?
What we're doing right now, having the conversation, starting the conversation whenever and wherever, and talking about some of the issues that actually affect your immediate communities.
Right.
What are some of the issues that you see? What are some of the issues that you're dealing with? Sit down and address it. Make sure that when you come with some of the concerns, that you also come with some possible solutions. You know, because one thing about it, police aren't perfect. We have a very difficult job. We have to make split-second decisions, okay? But it's important for us to reach out to the community, talk to the community, be a part of the community, associate within the community. My dollars that I make from this community get spent in this community.
That's right.
Okay, everybody knows me and everybody sees me. You can find me anywhere from the hill to the uptown, from the midtown to downtown, out the south. I'm everywhere. Everybody sees me. My money gets spread around this whole area.
Okay.
Got lots of delicious restaurants around this place. So you got to pick and choose, take your time. A lot of food there. But it starts with a conversation. You got to sit down and talk about it.
And that's what we definitely have to do, because regardless of what society says, a lot of us try to be politically correct. There is racial tension in America. It's just something that has to be discussed. If we don't talk about it and act like it's not there, then we're going to have what we have spilling over in the streets that happened in Minnesota, that happened in Louisiana. We're going to have things like that.
Well, there's no need to ignore the elephant in the room. You got to talk about it.
So we got young gentlemen like him, right? This young brother right here. I talked to him earlier, and he said he's afraid. So what do you say to the people in our community that are afraid that something like this can happen right here in Harrisburg on one of our blocks? How do we ensure our safety as young African American men in our community and women?
Well, here's the thing. It's the safety of everybody, not just young African American men and women, boys and girls, but everybody in this community. As you know, they just had a death that happened in the Midtowns.
Right.
You had an individual, that unfortunately he lost his life, All lives matter. If you're afraid, or you got to start talking about it. You got to address exactly what it is that makes you afraid. What happened in the past that made you fearful now? What have you seen recently that made you fearful now? And then make sure that, when you look at that situation, you're not looking at it through rose-colored glasses.
Right.
As you said yourself, you got to look at it for what it is. You got to accept responsibility
for our own actions.
For everything that you've done. Police got to accept responsibility for what they do. Community got to accept responsibility for what they do. But it's not often played out that way. No, it's not. But that's why you go out there and you have that conversation.
Right.
That's why when you see me, I'm clearly talking. Everywhere I go, talking to everybody, find out what some of their concerns are, what are some of your issues, and trying to, come up with some resolutions. Not all the time are you going to come up with a resolution, but at least you can get an understanding as to why something happened the way that it happened.
But now let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you believe that education is the key as far as educating both the youth and the police officers on both sides? Because have walked on both sides of the fence, I come with an unbiased eye. I'm not biased. So when I teach these youth that all officers aren't bad, I understand that. But in order for us to get them to understand that, we have to educate them, and then also the officers, because when we come into the realm with them, and I've experienced it, some of them don't know how to deal with young men of color because they come with an aggressive manner when they approach us. So when you approach someone aggressively, you're going to get aggressiveness back. So what I have been proposed to Chief Carter and Mayor Pappas is for us to start a forum within the city as far as us and the community, because Breaking the Chains and Luke B&G and other organizations, we are the bridge that can close that gap as far as with these communities, because we're out here in the streets 7 days a week. 7 days a week we're out here. So that's what we are proposing, and that's one of the reasons why we called you guys here today. And I want to thank you for coming down and talking to the youth, because they need to know that you guys do care. There's some of you guys that do care despite what may be played out.
Well, there's a good portion of us that care.
Yeah.
Our numbers are large as far as in the care department. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scene that people just don't see. A lot of things that we don't talk about because we didn't do it for recognition. We did it because it was the right thing to do. As far as like, the thing that you were talking about as far as like the youth and being afraid and, how do we bridge it? Everything, and especially that point that you made about education. Oh man, education is key. You got public education out here that I need people to take advantage of. You have worldly education coming from the elders in the community that needs to be passed on to the youth. So listen to them instead of brushing them off. I mean, the respect level for the elders of the community is low. I mean, it's low. You got elders that are elected. We got people here that have been around since the civil rights movement.
Yes.
I mean, imagine where we would be as a people if we stayed free.
That's right.
You know what I mean? There's certain fights that have to be fought. I understand that. I understand that, and I accept that. You know what I mean? But that education comes from everywhere. It starts at home when you're first born. it continues on through school. You got, like I said, you got elders in the community that are just a plethora of information and education. But it's almost sometimes with the small percentage, because as a police officer, we keep dealing with the same group over and over again, that small percentage. It's hard to get that information to them. It's hard to even sit down and have that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy and it's cool to have a conversation with you guys because you guys want to have the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm still reaching my hand out to those that don't want a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm still reaching my hand out to those that really don't have a legitimate reason to be upset with the police. You're just looking for anything to be angry about. And when I go to sit down, it's like, come on, man, let me talk to you, man. I'm really trying to, get you to understand that it's not as it seems, and that's not what we're trying to do. And if you are having a bad experience, or if you did experience something that was wrong, listen, the leadership that we have in place right now, the police department, they are open to that. Come in.
Yeah.
Because if you're out there doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, you're no kin to mine.
That's right.
You're no kin to mine because that's not what I represent.
That's right.
In closing, just give me and the viewers out there, how is it? I mean, what is the conversation amongst the officers? I mean, what's the end game? How is there a high energy there because of what happened in Dallas? Or is there a high alert? Because now, I mean, this goes both ways. Because on our end, we'll think, well, man, if I get pulled over, they're gonna be jittery and I'm jittery. So how do we nullify something like that? Those tensions.
I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I told my group in roll call. You ready for this? We have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do our job. Nothing stops us from doing our job. Our job is to protect, our job is to serve, our job is to help in any way that we can. Regardless of what's going on around the world, we took that oath. And the vast majority of us believe in that oath.
All right, man. All right, Corporal, man, I want to thank you for your time.
Yep.
And your consideration out here in the community. D.R.A.M.A TV 27 live here at Cam Island.